Hey, I'm Dean, and this is Legacy Voyage. In season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. How to leave a lasting impression using this magic word. Today, I'm going to share the story of how I learned this magic word and how you can use the magic word in your relationships to build rapport as soon as you meet someone new. And the way that I've used this is, especially with networking calls, when I'm meeting brand new strangers or just meeting new people in general, I just use this technique. It's not really a technique, but it's something I learned. And it goes all the way back a couple weeks ago. I was hopping on a networking call with a guy, and as I was listening to him, he kept repeating a word over and over again. And as he kept saying the word, I just felt more inclined to listen, and I felt more of a connection. He just left a lasting impression, and he kept repeating it over and over again. And the word is my name. I remember reading this in a book so many years back. This was one of the first books I've ever read. Not ever, but this was one of the first personal development books I ever read, called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Highly recommend. Amazing book. I'm sure many people have read it before. But one of the first things that it says is that a person's favorite word in any English language, or whatever language it is their name. And they love hearing their name over and over and over again. So when you tell someone's name to themselves, it just gets them to perk up and listen more. And I've seriously found this when I was on the networking call because he kept repeating it over and over again, and then I kept repeating it over and over again to him, and it was like who can say the other person's name more, and it just got to that point. But it's something that I'm trying to be better at is repeating someone's name while they're in the conversation. And the way that I've tried it is just before a question, I'd be like, so Bob, tell me more about yourself, or it'll be uh, like, Bob, what are your plans for the future? Just saying their name, and then especially when ending the call, it's making sure to say, Bob, let's stay in touch, or Bob, let's keep in contact. Just things like that is goes super far in building a relationship and especially building rapport with someone, which is super important, especially on these networking calls for sure. I think, yeah, I think I just want to share that story really quick. Oh, there was another thing I wanted to share is that you really don't want to mess up someone's name because if you mess up someone's name, they're not going to like you, especially when you forget someone's name. But if you can remember their name as soon as they tell it to you and then keep repeating it back to them over and over and over again in the conversation, it's a dub. It's a W for sure. So that's what I wanted to share. A little life update. Today I met with two guys today, super cool people. First name was First guy was Junior Tovar, and he's like a chief business officer, chief business executive, something like that. But he works at PCMA, which is one of the biggest business events firms in the world, or something like that. But he's like the second in command, and he's thinking of becoming the CEO, or he's going to become the CEO, which is insane within the company. He's a super big guy. So I hooked him up with the network that I connected him with all the big time business people that I know within the poly community because he is someone, and hopped on a call with him. He was super cool. He gave a lot of amazing advice, which was super awesome. Then another guy that I met, this is actually super interesting. His name is Kevin Russell, and he is in investments, but he's not Polynesian. He's actually black, but he didn't serve a mission. He served like a Peace Corps thing, a government thing in Tonga. So he actually used to live in Tonga, and he lived there for 2.5 years. He knows the language, he knows the island super well, and he was telling me it just sounded like exactly like a mission. He loved his time there, but it was like a he was working the whole time, and it's just awesome being able to meet him, and he actually gave some of the best advice like ever. He gave a lot of amazing advice. Let me pull it up right now because it was really cool. There were three things that he said is to don't be scared to fail. You shouldn't be scared of failing because that's it's not going to help you in the long run to achieve your goals. So don't be scared to fail. And number two thing is bet on yourself. And number three is to always persist and keep persisting. Those are just some of the big lessons that I got out of the conversation. And then on top of that, I asked him what's his best advice for his 18-year-old self. And something he said was always shoot your shot and live with the results. And the quote he said that he kind of lives by is something from Waldo Emerson or something like that. I think is his name. Was always do what you're afraid to do. Those things that you don't want to do because you're too scared and you don't want to do those things. Another thing he said, man, he had a lot of great points. He also said you can't fake passions because he's very driven by his passions. His life was like basically he went through many different seasons of his life, and it was first focused on education when he went to Tonga, where he was going big on education, and then out of that he did because he did poli sci as undergrad, political science. He then went on to voting stuff. So he went through a season of voting and how he could help there. And then after that, he went to grad school and then got more interested in economic development. And that's how he got to where he is now, where he realized that capital moves faster than policy. And for him to make the changes that he wants, he's going to have to be able to affect the capital more. So that's how he got into investments. And now he's managing a US global investment portfolio where because the US, they invest in private equity firms across the world, like literally in Africa and Asia and all these different places that are they're primarily investing for global for supporting global development and things like that, which is super cool. And his mission is awesome. He also started an investment advisory firm called Zillennial Advisors, which is super interesting. And I guess they hold like workshops for Zillennials, which is Gen Z and Millennials, just to educate them on finance and investments and things like that. And then I'm hoping to be able to connect him with my network with Northwestern and maybe even the scholarship, Evan Scholar, WGA, because that would be super cool if he could do something with that. But I think listening to him was he was really big on passions and being able to follow what you love to do, and that was awesome. But man, those two conversations were amazing. Junior and Kevin, great people, great people. I'm super happy that I could meet with them, and yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. I'll talk to you.